Welcome to Evolving Waves, where we ride the tides of adversity to reach the shores of success. Today's guest is Diandra McNaire.
McNaire now,
McNaire.
yes.
Welcome. Diandra is a successful self-employed boudoir. Is that right?
Boudoir.
Boudoir photographer here in Charleston. Started out in different areas of photography and then has found a very successful niche. She is an incredible boudoir photographer here in Charleston, and it's well branded. Also, as a mother, and I am super excited to dive into your story today. Can't wait to hear some of the insights you have to share with us, and hopefully a couple stories to pass along.
Got it.
As we jump into today's podcast episode, quick sponsor highlight before we get into the nitty gritty. Today's podcast is brought to you by Stingray Branding. We are a national lead generation marketing agency that's focused on generating ROI for our customers through web design, social media, Google search management, and much more. If you're interested in learning more, reach out to us at stingraybranding.com. Cool. Diandra, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I can't wait. This is going to be a fun podcast. So let's go ahead and kind of clarify as we jump into things. What is boudoir photography?
Boudoir photography is more of a classy, sexual, stunning, empowering, think Playboy with some class thrown in. So
That sounds
exactly what you think.
Sounds like some fun photos.
It can be, yes.
So as we look back at your career, thinking all the way back to the very beginning, at what age did you start to get into entrepreneurship, and what led you to that?
So I started doing photography about 94, 95. I went to a trade school that's now closed here. It's called Garrett Academy. And the trade I took was called graphics communications. Mm-hmm. And in graphics, there was a darkroom. And part of our trade was learning how to process film and stuff like that. So I really started sophomore year in high school, doing photography, darkroom stuff, graphic design, all that fun stuff. And then when I graduated high school, I actually went into automotive. That's what I really wanted to do. I wanted to work on cars, and my mom hated it. So that's what I did for about 5-6 years. And then when my grandmother was sick, we would go visit her all the time, and she would say to me, Diandra, you're really good at taking pictures. You're the only one that could take a good picture of me. Promise me you will follow your talent and go into photography. And I was like, yeah, okay, Grandma. And that was the last thing she asked of me before she passed away. So when I left automotive, I went to work in corporate America, and people were always looking for a photographer, and they were like, hey, I want you to take my pictures. I'm like, I'm not a photographer. I answer the phone for this company. That's not what I do. They're like, oh, but we've seen your work. You're really good. And my actual first paid job was an all-expense paid wedding to Honduras.
That was your first job?
That was my first job.
What?
In Honduras, yeah. All expenses paid, trip to Honduras. Didn't even own a camera, had to buy a camera. And it just kind of spiraled from there. Once I did that one, another person in the office was like, oh, my granddaughter's getting married. You got to do her. And it just kind of, every day I showed up for work, they're like, why are you here?
That's pretty cool.
You shouldn't be here. You're so talented. I'm like, yeah, but I have 2 kids and bills to pay. And photography is very hard to make a living off of. So I did that for 11 years.
Okay.
I worked full time for corporate America and did photography on the side.
So sounds like you started to achieve some decent success though with photography, and like that was kind of growing and bustling along. How did that transition into boudoir?
So after 11 years, the company that I worked for and I decided we no longer liked each other, and they let me go.
Got a divorce?
Yep. Very, very fast and not professional divorce. And I had saved up enough money. I was like, I'm going to take some time off and spend it with my kids. Mm-hmm. So I did that for about a year and still doing, photography here and there on the side. And it just kind of oh, I can make this full time. Like the freedom it gave me to be with my kids was just like, I didn't want to let it go. You know, I was classroom mom, which I never thought I'd be for my son's second grade class. And it was just amazing. So I decided to put all my focus into photography full time so I could have the work life balance. I don't need to ask permission to go, volunteer at the school. I don't have to ask permission to take my kids on a trip or whatever it is I want to do. I'm the boss. So that's kind of how I went from working for corporate America to doing photography full time.
So were you making enough at that point?
Oh, absolutely not.
No.
Oh no, absolutely not.
No.
No, it's well, I mean, it's very competitive,
Mm-hmm.
especially now with cell phones, filters, and everybody is a photographer. So you really have to what sets you apart from everybody else that has a camera, and being consistent is key. Quality of service, quality of work, my personality. A long time ago, somebody said they're not going to hire you because you take pretty pictures. They're hiring you for you. So when you brand yourself, people are going to gravitate to you for who you are.
Absolutely.
So that's
people do business with those they like, know, and trust.
Yep, exactly.
Makes total sense.
Yep. And so when I first started, I was doing children. That was my first passion, is working with kids, getting on their level, making it fun for them. Because kids aren't just going to sit still and smile.
Nope.
They're not. Nope. You've seen me work.
No, not.
And for me, it was fun. The hardest part of doing family pictures is actually the adults. To have them, let go the control and let me, manage the chaos. It's like herding cats, and I'm a cat lover. So
I've heard that's the hardest part of teaching too.
Yeah, I've had to kick parents out of the shoots before.
I can believe that.
I have. I've had to make a couple moms go stand like 500 yards away, and as soon as they walked away, the kid was like perfect. It's not the parent problem. It's not the kid problem. It's the parent problem. So I did that. Weddings are another hard genre to get into, and there's so much involved in weddings, like astronomical amount of work involved in weddings. And I hurt my back about 6 years ago. I fell off a hoverboard and I crushed my spine, and I did not know it. And so it became increasingly hard to do weddings because you got to pack all the gear and the lighting, and you're on your feet all day. And
you're like carrying around the lighting and all that stuff too, right? Like,
right.
You're like moving around, holding light poles and holding the camera. And...
Yep. And then, up and down and running upstairs and downstairs trying to get the perfect shot. And you're on your feet for sometimes 8-12 hours. You're shoveling food in your mouth for 10 minutes if you get a chance. And my body just couldn't do it anymore. And then COVID kicked in. And everything shut down.
Yeah.
All my weddings canceled, all my photo shoots, like the world just stopped, right?
So you've gone through being growing a photography business, getting out of corporate,
right?
Being a single mother, right, at the time, and
single mom,
having some success, right? You're bringing in clients, or at least you're making it. You're not thriving, but you're bringing in business, and you're making do what's coming in, and able to live and grow and enjoy what you do and be active in your kid's life. And then you have this traumatic injury, life-changing injury, and COVID hits at the same time.
Yep. COVID hits right. So
that's
about a year and a half later, COVID hit. And then every wedding canceled, every photo shoot canceled. And I'm the type of person, even though most people that have been married, you put a non-refundable deposit down on your venue, on your photographer, on your caterer, all that stuff. And I'm just a compassionate person. I refunded everybody all their money. Nobody could have expected COVID.
So now you're going into COVID with no employment. Money coming in, no clients, no bookings.
And then I gave everybody their money back. Right.
You still have all your bills.
Correct.
So you've got to figure out how to make some money now.
Well, luckily they covered small businesses.
That's right, yep.
For a while. So that was my saving grace.
Okay.
Was that.
The PPP and the EIDL and all that stuff?
I didn't take the PPP because of the fine print in it, but
Okay.
the state unemployment,
Okay.
I was able to get that, and that was enough for me to
minimum to kind of get you through.
To get me through, exactly.
Okay. So then COVID basically wraps up?
So COVID is actually what made Boudoir take off.
Okay.
So everybody's sitting at home, bored, nothing to do, and some friends were asking me to do Boudoir for them, and I'm like, look, it's not what I do. Like, I take pictures of kids and brides. I have no clue about taking pretty pictures of women in lingerie, and they begged and they begged and they begged. And so we rented a hotel room and we did the shoot, had an amazing fun time, drank a little bit too much wine. And then they showed their friends, and their friends were like, I want to do it. So, okay, well, I got to rent an Airbnb now because I don't have anywhere. And that happened 3 or 4 times. And I sat down one day and went, all this money I'm spending on hotels and Airbnb, I can just invest that into my own space. And then after a year, I've paid myself back. And there you go. So that's what I did. I turned my art studio into my boudoir room, which is now the outlet room.
Yep.
And it just took off.
So let's kind of go back to that first shoot, right? Was there any moment in that first shoot that you were like, man, this is awesome.
Absolutely
I want to do this?
Not. I was petrified.
Really?
No, I was petrified. I like to tell people it's like, you're having heart problems, right? Are you going to go to a foot surgeon to operate on your heart? No, exactly. So why would you go to a wedding photographer to take boudoir pictures? It's completely different lighting, technique, style.
Yeah, because it's like kind of darkish, that really sexy.
Right. You got to learn lights and angles and curves. And one of the hardest parts is making people feel comfortable, which is, for me, is easy. And I didn't realize that was probably my biggest talent that I have outside of being able to take pictures, is my ability to make women feel completely comfortable.
Well, that's interesting because they're the ones reaching out for the photos.
And they're scared. They're so nervous and scared and petrified and everything you can think of.
So what leads to someone wanting to get those photos in usually?
Most of the time, women want to do it so that they can feel better about themselves. They've had life changes. They've had a baby. They've had breast cancer. Something astronomical, weight gain, weight loss, divorce, a wedding, so many different things, and they want to feel good about the skin that they're in the moment, or celebrate, like losing a lot of weight. They want to celebrate that. So there's 100 reasons that women want to do it. 99.8% of them are still petrified. Because, I mean, technically you're getting naked in front of a stranger. It's like OBGYN to the next level. An hour and a half of, running around half naked to full naked with a complete stranger. That would be petrifying, right?
Yeah, that would be wild. I don't think I know.
Yeah, so
I don't have the confidence for that.
Men are worse than women.
I bet.
Men are definitely worse than women. But no, making them feel comfortable in that situation. So during COVID, changed the studio from art studio to boudoir studio. And that's when I did a giveaway to kind of answer your question. I did a giveaway and I was looking for somebody that had a story. So I did a giveaway and had about 15, 20 women enter. And the one that I decided to work with had very traumatic childhood and upbringing that included sexual assault of a family member. So it was very therapeutic for her because part of the giveaway was telling her story, and her blog is on my website where you can read it. And there was a lot of body image issues and years of that kind of abuse. And she was on the couch and we were doing her pictures, and I turned my camera around to show her the picture that I just took because she looked beautiful, and she started crying, like just sobbing. And at that point, I turned from photographer to therapist to friend. It's like, okay, let's pause. What's going on? And did I do something? Of course, is the first thing I thought.
Yeah.
And she's like, I've never seen myself as beautiful before. Like, this changed her life. And she's like, I feel so beautiful. I feel sexual. I feel desirable. I feel. She's also a mom of like 5, 6 kids. Some from her husband, some from her, merged family. I think she's had like 4 or 5 kids, but yeah, we just sat on the couch for probably 30, 40 minutes and I listened to her talk, and then we dried up the tears and reapplied some makeup and got back into the photo shoot, and she said it literally changed her life.
That's incredible.
Like, years of therapy couldn't fix what I was able to do in an hour and a half with a camera.
The power of a photo.
Yes.
Power of visually being able to see something is incredible.
Correct.
So as you kind of think back through this transition period, what are some of the struggles that you encountered through this? I mean, I imagine, right, this is a more kind of risque photography.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably pushback that happens, maybe some judgments and things of that nature. The investment to get all this stuff, right? You got to come up with money for all that and funding all this stuff, and probably a little bit of fear that goes into that as well. So what were some of those challenges, and what did you do to overcome them?
So the biggest challenge that I get is probably the investment. Right now, with the way the economy is, money's tight for everybody. So this isn't a family photo shoot where I've got 500 different options of places I can print your pictures. It's very limited work. So the companies that I use are not only approved by the National Photography Association, they're approved by the Boudoir Photography Association. Because when I give you your final products, not only do you want the quality, you want the confidentiality. Having those printed, you can't just go anywhere. So it's a little bit more expensive.
That makes sense. Yeah, you don't want those photos out
right.
Everywhere.
If it was a wedding, I've got 500 different printers that I can use, but when I'm doing boudoir, I'm only using 3 or 4 that are approved through the 2 associations. So it can get very expensive. So it's a lot of people, it's coming up with the money to do it, especially now that times are hard for everybody. It's, I understand it's a specialty service. It's not essential. You don't have to have pictures of yourself. So food comes first, electricity comes first, gas, all that stuff comes first. So the economy is probably the hardest thing that I'm dealing with right now.
What was one of the harder things you had to deal with initially?
I want to say finding clients, but that really wasn't too hard because with what I do, a lot of it's word of mouth. A lot of women, they show their girlfriends, like, look, I did this, I feel great, she was so much fun, it was a blast, you should try it. So there's a lot of word of mouth that goes on. I'd say the hardest thing in the beginning really was finding my style. Because you see so many, I'm like, oh, that person does beautiful pictures, that style is gorgeous, I think I like that, but you want to stand out. So finding a style that represented myself, that I could feel good about. And it took me about 2-3 years to get it down pat, but I'm actually pretty happy with what I have now.
And so let's kind of dive into that a little bit. How do you capture the beauty and essence of every different woman that comes in for one of those shoots?
It's different for every woman. So I have a questionnaire that I send out. What do you love most about yourself? What do you not like about yourself? A lot of women, the tummy's an issue. Mm-hmm. So it's finding the angles that don't necessarily hide everything, but makes it flattering. It's finding the angles that are flattering for women. It's highlighting the parts of their body that they like, they enjoy. And sometimes, I show them a side of themselves that's beautiful and they never thought existed. So it's just trusting the process a lot.
It's a lot of creativity you're having to use in those sessions then.
A lot of creativity. I also have a full client closet with over 150 pieces, I think, right now
Wow.
of lingerie. Yeah, I had to take over my personal closet in my bedroom to house all the stuff. So shoes, lingerie, props, not even talking about the studio, the furniture, and all that stuff that goes in it. There's a whole Victoria's Secret in my house.
That's wild.
Yeah, that clients get to use.
What are have you had any clients that are like you kind of look when you're like, man, that was a dark session, or like that was kind of wild, or any crazy stories you can share?
That I can share.
Mm-hmm.
I did a stranger session once.
Like two people that didn't know each other.
Correct.
That both wanted photos at the same time together.
So I had a repeat client, and she wanted to do a session with a guy.
Okay.
Did not have the guy, so she asked me if I could supply the guy. And I thought, well, this could be interesting. So I had a friend who is a gym rat, and so I reached out to him and said, hey, would you be interested in being a model for me and a half-naked woman to do pictures? And he, of course, he said, absolutely, yes. And everything was very professional.
That much time in the gym, right? Like that's like the best compliment you can
right.
get as an ass like that.
Right. So everything was very professional. It came in, they met. We did the entire session, and everybody's like, "Oh, that couple's so you could just tell the sexual chemistry and the pictures of you." I'm like, "Yeah, they were total strangers. just met that day." It was
That's wild.
That was fun. Putting them in poses that, these are very intimate, pictures and poses for people that literally just met.
Well, I think that speaks a little bit to human chemistry that probably, lines up with the work, and what makes this an exciting thing that people want to do is that, humans are naturally drawn to each other. There's naturally sexual chemistry between men and females.
Yep.
It's just how we're wired and who we are. So it's cool that you get to be able to pull that in and then basically capture it in the photo, right?
Yep.
You're pulling in an intangible emotion and capturing it in a visual representation.
Correct. It's a lot of fun.
You've taught yourself everything through this process, right? Because you went to school for graphics communications, you didn't go to school for necessarily photography, and then I don't believe you said you had a mentor kind of really coming up either, right?
No. So if I saw something that I like, oh, that picture looks really cool, I just go to Google and start Googling YouTube videos and watching video after video until I found something that resembled what I was looking for, and then I just study it.
So what was the process then for having to teach yourself how to do boudoir photography?
Yeah, a lot of stalking other boudoir photographers. It's like dissecting a frog, I guess. When you're in high school, you got to peel the layers apart. And so I'd see a picture and I would dissect it. Where's the light coming from? What light sources do they have? What equipment are they using? Are they on a ladder? Are they on the floor? Just the positions of the hand, the positions of the feet, like everything down to your nails. It's every little detail of a picture. And then how can I not copy, but be inspired by it to make my own version of the pose, the picture that I liked. And it's trial and error, really.
So while you're going through all this, running your photography business and going through COVID and all that stuff, single mother for a period of several years, right? And then previously you're in a relationship and now you're happily married, right?
Correct.
Can you walk through maybe some of the things of how that impacted your business going through all that, and how you handled being a single mother and going through a divorce and then a new relationship, while also going through the other adversity that you had with trying to get your photography business off the ground and then having to restart it all over again with an entirely basically new brand and purpose.
Yep. My ex-husband and I, we went through a really horrible divorce. He had some mental breakdowns afterwards. That was very traumatic for me and the kids. And as much as that trauma like taught me a lot, I really would not have been able to do this and take this off if it wasn't for his financial help with the kids. So I've got to give him props. My ex-husband stepped up and helped me make sure that I could take care of the kids. He was not one of those deadbeat dads that just, sucks to be you. So even though I was a single mom, technically I had financial support from their dad. So he did play a big part in the whole process. So when, money was tight, the kids need something, I just had to call him. He got him. So he did play a big role in all of this, me being able to do what I do, because I had the financial support from him to help me take care of our kids. So yes, I was single, being by myself, but financially I had help from him with the kids.
Did your current husband, were you guys together before you started boudoir photography, or did that come after?
No, we've been together since 2015.
Okay. So what was that conversation like whenever you decided to make the transition from from children and wedding photographer to I'm going to take sexy photos of people?
Yep. So we lived apart for about 4 years. We dated, and then we built a house together 5 years ago, 6 years in December. And like I said, it was my art studio. So when COVID hit, I sat him down and I was like, look, I'm spending all this money on hotels and Airbnbs. What do you think of me doing this? And he said, go make your money. Do it. He never even hesitated. He's been very supportive from the start. Whatever I want to do.
Has he had to model for you? Have you had to
He
use
will
him
not
for
model for me. No, he will not.
He's not having you find any angles or lighting?
He will not. No, he did. I think it was a Christmas shoot. I needed him to, so I could test my lighting. And he just made stupid faces the whole time.
He's like, you're not using these photos on anything.
No. He's my biggest supporter, but when it comes to taking pictures, he's not having any part of it. Zero part of the picture taken.
I don't blame him. I would be a little uncomfortable too, but I think that you would be able to probably get me comfortable even.
Yeah,
you've got the personality for it for sure.
You'd be surprised.
So tell us a little bit more about where the outlet room is now, right? What you're working on and what's next.
So the outlet room is still there.
Okay.
Just summertime's a very slow time for me. People are on vacation, kids are in summer camp. Add on top of that the economy. So summertime, really, I spend a lot of time focusing on my Christmas. So Christmas is really one of the only times that I do families. I do Santa. And I start doing Christmas in July, where I start advertising the Santa pictures. This will be our 6th year. We're at Cotton Down South for the 6th year. And I do roughly about 60 families a day times 4 days, give or take. There. So a lot of my summertime focus, I still do boudoir, but it's pushing the family sessions towards the end of the year with Santa and stuff. So that's my focus now is working on my Christmas stuff. But anybody that wants to do boudoir, get out this heat, this stifling South Carolina heat that I just got married in because I'm crazy.
All the crazy people get married in the summer.
I don't know why.
It's the Charlestonian way. It's the only time it's affordable. Everybody else comes and gets married in the good season, so we have to get married in
we're left with the
hot seasons.
I got lucky. I'm working with a yoga studio in Park Circle, and they are going to start offering small elopements and parties at their. It's actually a Quonset hut from the 1940s off the Navy base. And yeah, so we got married inside the Quonset hut, and then we went to eat, and then we went down to Riverfront and took pictures, and we were drenched by the end of it.
Believe it.
Yeah, it was stifling.
Did a workout yesterday. I won't, because this is kind of a hot, sexy episode. I won't describe what happened after my workout yesterday, but if you decide to work out in Charleston in the afternoon during summer, just don't.
Just don't.
Just stay inside in the AC and turn on an outlander or something.
Yes. And that's another reason that I love doing boudoir. I don't have to go outside. So raining, heat, freak snowstorms, like none of it affects me. I stay in my nice air conditioned room with my clients and take fun pictures. I don't have to worry about Mother Nature. That was probably the biggest hurdle doing families and weddings and stuff is 99% of it's outside.
What so if you were to come across somebody that's looking to get into the photography business right now, if you could go back 10, 15 years and talk to yourself, what's the biggest piece of advice that you would tell yourself or tell them?
You got to be consistent. You got to ride the hard times out. There's going to be ups, there's going to be downs, and being an entrepreneur too is I see a lot of photographers fail because we have seasons, and we have our season and we make a big bulk of money and then they go spend it. And so like summertime's the slow season, now they have no money. So when you're an entrepreneur, you literally have to be very strategic and I've got $10,000. I'm going to go on a vacation. No, you're going to have to pay yourself for the next 6 months. So, right. Figuring out what the seasons are. So, okay, this is my busy season. This is my slow season, and spread that money out so that you're not, scrambling in the summertime.
That makes sense.
Or whenever it is, winter, wherever you're at, there's a season, whatever genre you pick, you've got, if you're
doing gonna have your ups and downs.
Yep, summertime, families, kids, that's your season because everybody's together during the summer. Everybody's looking to get family pictures updated during the summer. School, you're going to be slow because all the kids are in school. Parents are back to work.
Well, that time, like after Christmas and things like that, right? It's like dead.
Well, right. Right around Christmas time, no one's spending big bucks because everybody's spending money on Christmas presents and family. Like you have to study the industry and figure out when you're busy, and you need to plan your life accordingly. Like, don't go take a 6-month vacation during your peak season. Like that's just not smart.
Well, if you, so one more kind of follow-up question to that. What would you say to someone that has maybe seen some boudoir photography, thought about it, the idea's out there, but they are too afraid or hesitant to take that first step and initiate contact? What would you kind of say to them to help them understand or kind of get over that hill?
I don't bite. I don't bite. There's no, everybody's interested in what it is. The biggest question is how much does it cost? That everybody wants to go straight to that point. And even though the cost range varies depending on what you get as your final product, how much can you put a price on your confidence?
Well, for those that maybe don't, like, they would like to have the opportunity to go through it, but maybe they don't see themselves maybe using the photos or printing them or something like that. Is there a difference in pricing for those people to make it, and like, would they still be a great candidate?
Oh yeah,
to
absolutely.
Come do that?
Yeah, I offer just digitals for people that don't want to print their pictures because, oh my God, I have kids or conservative parents. I don't want them to see, an album or whatever just laying around. Like, I offer just digitals too.
Still worth doing that because you get the experience, and that's what it's all about.
Correct. Okay. During the summer, now I do mini sessions, which I didn't offer before. So people that are scared of making the full investment, but they want to see what it's like, they can do one of my summer mini sessions, which is just a quick 30 minutes, 4 pictures. You don't get access to like the client closet and all that stuff, but it's just like a little sneak peek of what could be. Right. Well, see behind the curtain. Exactly.
No pun intended.
Right. Oh my God, you're so bad. You're so bad.
What is, what's next for you or for the olive room?
Taking more pictures.
Yeah.
I mean, really,
Just
I don't
being
think.
consistent.
Yeah, being consistent. I don't think I'll ever stop doing photography.
Could you do it outside of Charleston? Like, could you fly somewhere and do this for
Oh,
somebody?
absolutely. Yeah.
Very cool.
They want to pay for it.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's gonna be the next thing, right? Like,
well, I mean, I already went to Honduras.
that's true, but not for Boudoir.
No, not
right?
for Boudoir.
Maybe Boudoir shoot in the Rockies.
Oh, I would love to go
out
to
in
mountains.
nature. That'd be
Oh,
kinda,
yeah.
There you go. Somebody's listening. They got the thought.
Yep.
There you go. Just gotta reach
Exactly.
out, right? Make it happen.
Just reach out.
Well, I thank you so much for coming in and telling us your story today.
Yeah.
Definitely an interesting transition, right? I think lots of people are kind of curious, right? How do you get into that, right? And I always think it's interesting what leads people into the industries they pick.
Right.
And so, as we wrap up today's episode, I want to remind everyone that's listening in that in the face of adversity, there's always potential for growth, resilience, and success. Make sure to join us every Monday as we continue to explore inspiring stories of overcoming challenges to help you thrive in your journey of life. Thanks.